Welcome back to another DJI Neo video, guys, but this is not just a DJI Neo 2 on its own. Today we've got the DJI Mini 4 Pro and the DJI Mini 5 Pro. Apologies for the poor uneven light. I'm recording in my car because it's a bit cold outside. So ultimately this video is going to be a test of the camera drone mode of all three of these drones. I'm going to set them all to auto, I'm going to set them all to 4K 30, and I'm going to set them all to a normal colour profile. So that means we're not shooting in log mode on the minis, because obviously the Neo doesn't. There'll be no editing and there'll be no colour correction. It will be auto mode, all straight out of camera, and we will compare all three. I'll show you all three flights from start to finish, so you know that there's no jiggery pokery going on. And we'll have a look at the results of the footage, and we'll decide between us which one we think is provided the best value, as well as what we think is providing the best footage. I think I know which one's going to provide the best footage, but as regards for best value, that's going to be a bit more of a difficult question. Now, we did also have an ND filter on the Mini 4 Pro, and that's mainly because I couldn't find my ND filters to switch it out. However, we still shot in auto mode, so it's still going to be an interesting test, but we don't put as much footage up as that as the other two. So yeah, let's freaking go, and I will see you all back in the studio after the video's ended, because I need to go home and check the results of the footage before I record an outro. And also, it's a bit nicer to record a video in the studio rather than sat in a freezing cold car, because it is indeed freezing cold. Okay, let's roll the video. Peace. Okay, so we are going to do some testing with the Neo and the Mini 4 and the Mini 5 Pro, and we're going to compare them. Now, what happened yesterday is I put up a short video which wasn't intended as a serious test, but it just showed how much more powerful the Mini 4 Pro was. Everybody was complaining, saying, oh, well, the conditions are not the same, it's not a fair test. It wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to sort of show you guys the differences in a 2-year-old drone versus a new one. However, I figured what we'll do is we'll bring them all out, we'll test them all at exactly the same time, and we'll test them all in the same settings as well. I'm going to test them all in standard cine mode, so without changing any settings, to see just how cinematic we can fly it. I am impressed with the Neo 2 and its camera drone facility mode. I do think it flies really well. I was a little bit concerned with the chromatic aberration. I'm not seeing any of that at this moment in time, and that may be because I've put it into auto mode. DJI do have this crazy sort of software that seems to make auto shoot better than manual on certain drones, which is, I mean, it just shouldn't happen. That's just not how cameras work. So the fact that they can do that is pretty wild, I've got to be honest. But what we'll do is we'll now shift over to these trees, and we're going to give it a bit of a difficult scene here, because what we're going to do is we're going to fly over to these trees, we're going to go up, we're in auto, so it's going to have to expose for the trees, and it's going to have to expose for the blown out sky as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what that actually looks like. Certainly on the screen recording we can see that it's not looking good, bruv, but that might not be the case once we download the footage and check it on the PC. Okay, so let's go over to this tree here, which is mainly out in the sun. I'm going to try and recreate all of these shots with each one of the three drones. It's just remembering remembering what shots I did. Luckily this battery will only last for about 12-30 minutes, so I shouldn't have too many shots to have to remember. But let's do a man. In fact, let's have we got enough space here? Let's do a spotlight orbit. That seems to be working better than the Mini 5 Pro's problems in spotlight mode. It will provide you with really nice, really smooth footage in this mode. It's just whether or not the quality comes across in auto mode. It certainly wasn't doing in manual mode, but ultimately we're not going to know until we download the footage. So that's what we're out here to test. Like I said, the initial test was it was more of a, just watching the drone go through the top of the goalpost there, it was more a case of sort of seeing the nuance differences rather than making it a serious comparison. but people got really upset by it. I think people are quite invested into DJI, so when you question anything that DJI do, people get a little bit upset. Now if I come back this way, I'm just watching the drone, but on the screen we should see, although it might actually be a little bit too close. Let's go back a little bit. I'm going to try and fly it through the goalpost, you see, from this angle. But again, what we might be best off doing actually is just having a look around us, just to get it lined up properly, because I think that the whole depth thing is always a bit tricky, isn't it? What I'm curious of here is how well it's going to fly through here without crashing. And I have been accused of just wanting to cause problems or even stir trouble with my DJI Neo 2 videos, and that's not what I'm doing. The thing is, guys, I've got an Amazon affiliate. I could put these videos out and completely ignore all the problems and tell you this is the best drone in the world, and I could make myself a tidy little sum on my Amazon affiliate account. I'll stick it in sport mode and get to where I want to be on my Amazon affiliate account, and that would be great. That's not what this channel's all about. This channel is not about rinsing the affiliate account for the sake of integrity. And some people might say, well, actually, why not? That's just not how we do it on this channel. So these are really difficult conditions. It's also -4 degrees as well. So I'm not going to go too hard on the battery. The battery's not brilliant as it is, but I'm not going to go too hard on the battery. I have been, we've been flying for about 6 minutes, give or take, and we've got about 5.5 minutes left. So, like I say, I'm not going to go too hard on the battery when it comes to sort of discussing how well it's doing, because I just don't think that's fair. But at least you know, if you are going to fly in these really cold conditions, what you're going to get from it. And this is mainly flying obviously in cine mode, as you can see from the screen recording. But if you want a really small, relatively quiet drone, the drone is right above my head now, as you can see on the map. I can barely hear it. As that car went past, I couldn't hear it at all. There was a very slight hum above my head, but ultimately, you can barely hear it at all. So if you want a drone that's very quiet, very discreet, even in sport mode, as it goes over us there, now that is a hospital where a helicopter lands. Obviously I've got a visual line of sight of the drone, so we are going to just be very, very careful. But we're going to bring it back, and that should conclude our testing. We should have enough footage to go and grab the Mini 4 Pro now and compare it to this. So that's what we'll do. Let's bring it back. Okay, so this is the Mini 4 Pro. We're shooting at 4K 30, and we're shooting at a normal colour profile. We're not shooting in flat log profile, and we'll try some of the same shots that we tried before. We're also flying in cine mode. Again, this is just the standard settings of cine mode. We'll take it up here and we'll move it across, and we'll see just how well this does. Now, the only slight issue where this may have a bit of a problem is I've got quite a dark ND filter on it. And I thought my ND filters were in the car, they're not, but I'm going to run the test anyway because it is an ND64, but it's a really bright day, which doesn't necessarily make it fair, and I get that, I do, but we can only do what we can only do. Okay, we'll come over to this tree, and then we'll do an orbit around this tree in spotlight mode. That just seems to be going a little bit faster, but obviously this has got a lot more power than the Neo 2. Okay, so what we'll do as well, we're quite close there. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it around because we are quite close to these trees, look. We don't want to reverse into those, even though we've got more sensors. But you can see, I mean, obviously I could see it on the drone with my eyes, but you can see how having that better tech makes you a little bit more confident, because although I can see it, and I could see the Neo from here, having the tech to protect you just makes you feel that a little bit better. And again, oh, no, change the EV value to 0. I don't quite know what this test does, but it looks really good, so we're going to do it anyway. And like an idiot, I forgot to put a memory card in this one as well, so we're not going to get the same shots with this, but ultimately we should have enough there to compare it. What we'll do now is we'll go and grab the Mini 5 Pro out and we'll compare that. But yeah, memory cards, kids, don't forget them. And I say that to you guys because I'm the one that keeps forgetting them. Okay, that looks lovely. It's a shame that I can't record it. I will see you all with the Mini 5 Pro in a second. Peace! Okay, now we're out with the Mini 5 Pro. Again, we set to 4K 30. We set to a normal colour profile. We're not shooting in log mode or D-Log M or anything like that. We don't have any ND filters on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to compare the footage, and we're just going to go over here. And we're going to move to the right. We're also in Cine mode, which we've been in for all three of them. Although Cine mode, because I'm actually using the RC Pro 2, does have my settings on it, and ideally I want to keep those consistent, but it is what it is. Make sure that focus is focused. Apologies if it wasn't. It looks like it is, but you just never know. Okay. And it's really difficult for me to draw conclusions at this moment in time. Let's go down a little bit. Yeah, it is genuinely difficult for me to draw conclusions at this moment in time. Because shooting in auto mode, I'm just looking at this small screen, is actually quite difficult to tell which one is the winner. So we're not really going to know until we put them on the PC, and then I'll do an outro now. Again, we've got trees behind us, and you can see that because we've got these sensors on the Mini 4 and the Mini 5 Pro and on the Mavic series, and that helps your depth perception. Obviously I can see the drone from where I am, but that really does help if you're coming up to something and you're thinking, well, am I going up to it because I can see it from here. I actually don't have my chest camera, which is a shame, otherwise you'd be able to see it, but it does really help. So that is a lovely feature, and I'm so glad that that's something that DJI implemented. Like I say, just going back to my initial point in the Neo fly. People have accused me of deliberately trying to start and stir trouble, etc. Nothing could be further from the truth. Not only would I make a lot of money from just saying this is the best product ever, but I've got virtually every single DJI product ever made, and I think the majority of them are brilliant. But I do think they've made a misstep with the Neo 1 and Neo 2, because I think they're trying to make it a jack of all trades, and it's made it essentially a master of none. And by that, what I mean is they're sort of trying to get it to do too much, and it's struggling to do all of the different things that they're trying to get it to do. Whereas if they'd have just advertised it as a selfie and a camera drone, I wouldn't have had any complaints. The quality of the resolution or the quality of the image isn't amazing, but it's 200 quid. And for that you get 2 drones in one. Where the problem lies is they've said, no, you can have it as an FPV drone, not a problem. And that's fine until you actually try and have it as an FPV drone. Now this is going to be a real test. We didn't do this with the Mini 4 Pro, partly because of SD card issues, but also partly because that's got an ND filter on it, and neither of these two do. So neither this nor the Neo 2 has got an ND filter on it. So how well will it actually cope with this is a really good question. But I've even had people leave comments on the latest Neo 2 video saying, well, obviously the Neo 2 isn't an FPV drone, so why are you trying to fly in FPV drone mode? And the problem is, it's not a brilliant FPV drone, but it is advertised as an FPV drone. And if you come along and you buy it and you think, oh, actually, yeah, I quite like to fly in FPV drone mode, and you then spend 500 quid on a set of goggles, 200 quid on a controller, you're in the hole for 900 quid or about $1,000. And then you've got people telling you, well, it doesn't do that. Well, why are they selling you $1,000 worth of equipment if it doesn't do it? So I do think, I mean, obviously the DJI apologists are a bit crazy, but I do think that if DJI had have, follows my drone beeping then, I do think if DJI had have just advertised this as a camera drone and a selfie drone only, I think the response would be a bit different for people like me. But if you're going to spend $1,000 or 900 quid or €1,000 on it, it's sort of my responsibility to tell you warts and all. Like I say, it would have been very easy for me in a day to put out a video, call it a review and just show the positive points, but that's not what we do, and that's not fair on you guys. That should be a really difficult scene for this to cope with. We've got some really dark darks, some really dark shadows, and some really bright highlights. So very interested to see how well that copes. But as a camera drone, the Neo 2 is fine. It's not the best, but it's 200 quid. And when you compare it to, say, the Mini 4K or the Mini 2, it's probably up there at around about roughly the sort of same quality, give or take. Did a quicker movement there just to see how well it coped with it. And then we'll fly back into the sun. Should obviously never do this because it will just ruin your footage. But out of curiosity, how well does it cope? So yeah, I'm not a DJI apologist, but I'm also not somebody who just attacks for the sake of attacking. I'll always show you the honest situation of anything. And honestly, I think the Neo 2 is good, but it's got problems, and DJI need to admit those problems and deal with those problems before somebody spends $1,000 on something that they then post a video to YouTube and say, please help, it's not flying properly. And somebody comes along and says, well, you shouldn't have done that with it then, should you? Because I think it's crazy, and that's what we'll always do. We'll always show you guys the honest, the brutal honest truth. I quite like this picture, but I don't like auto mode. So let's just see where that's going to lie. Because what we want to do is remember what I taught you, shoot everything in AEB5, make sure it's in RAW, and that should be a lovely picture with the sun beaming through the trees. Okay, I'm going to come back and land. I'll have recorded the intro probably here at the park, probably in the car because it's so cold and time. But then the outro, I'm going to have to watch the footage and then record it in the studio. So I'll see you guys back in the studio in a second. So the results then of this test are in, but what do they actually mean? Because if we was to look at it from a simplistic point of view, the Mini 5 Pro would of course be the winner by a country mile. In second place, by a country mile, would be the Mini 4 Pro, and in last place, by a country mile, would be the Neo 2. But as always, I don't think it's that simple. I don't think we can just look at it from a nuanced point of view of the Mini 4 Pro, the Mini 5 Pro better, therefore Neo is rubbish. I don't think we can look at it from that point of view for a few reasons. So let's go through the results first of all. And I think first thing is first, the absolute winner from an image quality point of view by a long stretch is the Mini 5 Pro. It's got a bigger sensor, it's got a better image processor, it's just better, it flies better, it's got more features, but it is also a lot more expensive as well. It doesn't offer the selfie modes, it doesn't offer the FPV modes that the Neo does. But is the Neo actually any good at this particular mode? It's certainly no good at FPV mode, and I'm going to get onto that in a second. So ultimately, if you want the best of the best when it comes to photos and videos, the Mini 5 Pro is without any shadow of the doubt streets, leagues, countries ahead of anything else that's on this desk right now. So we can move that to one side and we can move on from that. And the next more interesting comparison is the Mini 4 Pro versus the Neo 2. And again, if we look at it from a pure image quality point of view, the Mini 4 Pro would win despite being over 2 years older than the Neo 2. It also wins because it flies better, it's smoother and has got more modes. But is it really the winner? The answer is maybe, but maybe not. Because the Neo 2 offers modes that the other two just don't. It offers an FPV mode, which at this moment in time doesn't really work properly in manual mode. But if you want to get into FPV and fly in sport mode and experience the thrill of threading the gaps and flying with the goggles on, the Neo 2 is brilliant because you don't have to learn anything to do it. You can just pick it up, fly it safely for you, your wallet, and everybody around you. The other flip side as well, of course, is it's got the selfie mode. You don't even need a remote control or a mobile phone. You can just press a button and it'll follow you. It'll look at you. It'll do whatever you want it to do. You can wave at it and it'll move left and right and up and down, and it'll even come back to you if you put your hand out. The other two don't do that. So ultimately it comes down to, and this is where I really do think the Neo 2 has got its biggest problem, and I think that biggest problem is DJI's marketing team, because they've come out and they've marketed it as a jack of all trades. It can do FPV, it can do camera drone, 4K, it can do this, it can. But the reality is what you've got is a really good selfie drone here. Average camera drone and a poor FPV drone. Now, if DJI removed the FPV functionality from this and marketed it as a camera drone and a selfie drone, I would back it 100% of the way, because the other flip side is it's just 200 quid or $200 if you can buy one in America. And for that price, it's unparalleled, it's unmatched. There's also a certain remote control tracking device that's coming out soon, which is going to make the Hover X1 Air Pro really nervous. So it's difficult to say. On pure image quality, anything other than the Neo 2 is the worst drone out here. But if you look at it from a more pragmatic point of view, the more pragmatic point of view is the Neo 2 is a bloody brilliant selfie drone. It's a mid-range camera drone, and you can fly it with goggles on as well in camera drone mode. And for 200 quid, I actually think it's a bit of a bargain. Got any questions? Drop them in the comments down below. But please, don't ever say this is an FPV drone. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your Friday. YouTube and I have had a chat, and we believe that this is the video that you'll like the most. So watch it and let me know if they're right.